welcome for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Samantha?
Feeling wonderful, and I'm so excited. Welcome, everyone. Welcome for watching Motivation Wednesday. Today we have Allye with us. Like we said all the time, this motivation session is to help us, motivate us, inspire us to see things in a positive way, look at the solutions. No matter what happened, there's always solution around the corner. So today we have a figure skating coach and an author with us, Allye. Let me briefly introduce her and we will start her story as soon as possible. So Allye is a US figure skating 7 times gold medalist. Move in the field, free skate, pairs, ice dance, solo free dance. And she is also USFS International Dance Medalist, Skate Canada Gold Medalist, PSA rated coach, certified move in the field. And most importantly, very, very special, she is the author of Taking the Ice book series. The first book was launched in 2020, and the second one is this year, 2022. And she is also Suki skating director.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
It's okay, we got
He's
the
left me
first
alone all
audience.
morning and decided right now is the time he wants to be involved.
That's perfect. Welcome.
This is my
Good morning.
good morning.
Well, thank you for joining us, Allye. My first question is, can you tell us who you are and tell us about your story or how you introduce?
Okay. Well, I think you summed up a lot of what I've done in life pretty well at the beginning already. Like you said, I'm a figure skater. I started skating when I was about 10 years old, and just did like the beginner learn skate classes. And I took my first private lesson at 14. And from that point on, it was like I was obsessed. It was everything I wanted to do. And more or less, my entire life has in some way evolved around figure skating. When I went to college, I skated all through college. And then I taught high school for nearly a decade. And during that time, I was still skating for myself, still coaching. I took a short hiatus from teaching to go skate professionally, and then came back to teaching for a little bit before starting to coach full time and publishing my books. So I guess essentially I'm a figure skater. It's who I am.
This is very, very special. And I would love to know more about your story. Like, what inspired you to start to write your book?
Okay, so my book actually started as it was just going to be one. And it was an idea that just came to me one day on my drive home from school, teaching high school at the time when I wrote my first book. And I got home that night and like the ideas just continued to like pop into my head more and more and more. And it was time to go to bed. And I was like, no, like I'm gonna write this down. And I think I wrote like 4 or 5 chapters that first night. And then just kept going. My first book didn't take me long. It was maybe a month or so of writing, and it was completed. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to say. And it just was putting those words down onto paper. And then I had such a good response with the first one. Like I'd already kind of been thinking of doing a second one. And after the response of the first one, I was like, all right, we're doing the second one. We're putting it out. And it's been great so far. So I'm working on number 3 now.
Wow, beautiful. And what inspired you to write this book? Is it your personal story?
It is not my personal story. The idea came to me as a way to help my skaters and help them figure out what they need to put into it, give them some tips along the way, skating tips as well as motivational tips. And it's intended to be a story for young figure skaters to help them figure out what they need to do to be successful and the time and commitment that needs to be put into it if you're going to chase your dream.
I totally get it. This is exactly how I started xamasglobal. It is the uniqueness and the determination of being able to catch your dream. That's the beautiful part. Well, in that case, really interest about your journey, your story, like how you started when you first do figure skating.
So when I first started, I had begged for years to skate. I had seen the Olympics on TV and was completely in love with the sport and begged for several years before I finally had the chance, and my parents found a learn to skate opportunity and put me into that. And as soon as I was on the ice, I was hooked again, and then begged for a couple years before private lessons became an option. And it was really just, I knew what I wanted to do, but trying to get people to understand that as a child, I knew what I wanted to do. So I think that was the struggle, like saying like, here, I'm this 10-year-old kid. This is what I want. Like, I know this is what I want. And trying to make that understood.
And you have to beg for a year?
For several years, yeah. It just like, I mean, my parents never were involved in figure skating in any way. It wasn't super popular in this area, so I don't think they knew how to get me involved. So it was a process.
Do you still remember how you feel when you first quite sure you love this sport? I mean, do you remember the feeling of that I really want to do this, I really want to do this, really want to try this, and then you come up with the constant backing to your parent so eventually to get your goal?
I think I still actually have that feeling. I don't think it ever went away. I know like a lot of people, they get to do what they want and they're like, okay, cool, I did it, I accomplished it. And like, I don't think I'm done skating for myself yet, even though I'm coaching primarily. Like, skating for myself brings me so much joy. I still understand exactly what that 10-year-old little Allye was feeling.
Wow. Do you come across any challenge when you first get to ice skating for your long skating journey?
I think my biggest challenge at the age of 16, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So it's an inflammatory disease that affects your joints, and it targeted knees. So I've been dealing with it for 20 years. But it's one of those things that even though I experience a reasonable amount of pain through it, the joy I get from skating is still, it's stronger than the pain. So I've just decided what my joints are feeling is irrelevant to what I'm feeling as a person when I skate.
Oh, do you mind how you get this? Because of it's genetical or?
Yeah, so it's an autoimmune disease. Typically it's genetic. My skating had nothing to do with it. Some of my injuries may have like provoked it a little bit and helped it come on, but overall it's autoimmune, completely related to how I was born.
I see. Do you have to do surgery for that, or you just like hang on to the pain
Yeah, I had a
when you
surgery. I had an arthroscopic surgery when I was 16 years old. And that was as they were first diagnosing, trying to figure out why my knee was so swollen and I couldn't bend past 90 degrees. So they took out a bunch of tissue, and when they tested it, that's what it was determined, that it was rheumatoid arthritis. But now I get joint aspiration, so they put a needle in my knee and take out the fluid, and then I'll get a cortisone injection to help. And I do that anywhere from like 3 to 5 times a year. And then I also have a very anti-inflammatory based diet to help me manage it.
Well, so you are still under this condition every year? You still have to do
It's likely I'll have it for the rest of my life.
And you never thought of giving up figure skating that caused you so much pain?
No. In reality, it probably helped me because I kept my body moving. So it was harder for my joints to stiffen up because they were constantly moving. So in a way, I kind of lucked out. The cold of the ice, it helps with the inflammation. If I were a dancer, I probably would have had to quit because the heat makes the inflammation much worse. But as a skater, it kind of brought remedy to some of the pain, having the cold around me at all times.
I suffer from a lot of backache as well and knee pain as well. The cause is because I skate too much, I do too much sport. And I understand now, sometimes when you grow a bit more mature, we don't want to move so much because it hurts afterwards. So for you, it's so easy to overcome that. You never thought of giving up. You never thought of because of your disease or for any reason, you never thought of giving up. what you like to do?
Oh, I think every time, like I had every once in a while some long periods of time where I couldn't physically walk. I had a 6 week period. That's probably close to a decade ago, where my doctor had just retired and I couldn't get into a new one. And it was 6 weeks where I couldn't physically put weight on my leg or walk. And the whole time it was like, I cannot wait to get in to see the doctor so that I can skate again. Like, we're gonna get through this so I can skate again. Um,
But
so, it never occurred to me that I should set skating aside because
and
of pain.
wow, this is really beautiful, and I am speechless. Yes. And you being a coach for a long time, I know, and apparently you try to motivate your student. And in your coaching journey, is there anything um, you can round up for young children, like teenager, like you said, you wrote it, spoke mostly for young skater. Is it because you think they have some common issues of getting their dreams? What do you see in them?
Um, well, I think a lot of times in rinks, especially in areas where figure skating isn't so predominant or isn't as advanced in that area, I think skaters are sometimes lacking role models to see what hard work looks like, what practice looks like. And there's so many examples around frequently of skaters who are there maybe just because their parents put them in the program, or they like it, but they don't have big goals of doing anything with it. It's just like another free time activity. But then there are those skaters who they have that dream, they are on a mission and they're trying to figure out how to get there. And those are for the skaters who I want them to see this is the amount of work you need to put in. This is the time commitment. It's not, being a figure skater isn't just going to affect when you're on the ice, it's going to affect your entire lifestyle. It's going to create this need to learn how to balance your friends, your family, your school, your homework. And it's so much more than just the couple hours a day that you might be at the ice rink, and trying to figure out how to show those young skaters how to create that balance and how to get that dream.
And the purpose of this book is to help them to be a better skater, or is all rounded, a more holistic point of view as a person?
It's probably a little bit of both. Like, I definitely worked in a little bit of skating tips here and there. Um, but I didn't want it to make the skating tips overwhelming, because in reality, a lot of those skaters are already getting those tips or getting a variation of those tips, but they might not be getting the encouragement. They might not be getting the rink family that I've created for in my book. You'll see some of the rink relationships that are going on, her skating friends, her friends outside, how she balances it, and just really trying to create a guide on how to get to the next level for that young skater.
When you say the skater don't have so much support like other places, does it include parents or just the overall environment?
I think there are a lot of incredibly supportive skating parents. At the same time, it's a learning curve. Like, skating it's unlike any other sport. And
Yeah.
just trying to figure out the process, it takes parents time just as it takes skater time. So I think too, for parents who've read the book, they've gone, oh, like, this is what my child's going through on the ice. I understand this now. And it gives them a better view of maybe some of the thoughts their child might be having, how they can support their child as well.
Beautiful. Do you mind share a few tips to us how to achieve as a successful figure skater for teenager?
First off, don't stop. So a lot of times teenagers get to the point where they graduate high school, they're going into college, and they think, I'm too old, I don't have time, there aren't as many people skating my age anymore. Don't stop. Like, there is so much still ahead of you, and your body's going to keep going. But before you get to that point, it's making time for this. And that's not just finding ice time. Sometimes skaters are at rinks where maybe they can only get 8 hours of ice a week, but there's a lot you can do off ice. So trying to figure out how to supplement your on ice training with your off ice training, and then just overall, making sure that when you're there, you're using your time wisely. You're at the rink to practice, not to talk, but you can, when you're getting your skates on, getting your skates off, you have time to connect with your friends. You can practice jumps with your friends, practice spins with your friends. But the goal isn't to sit at the side and just chit chat the whole time too.
Don't stop. Can you share one more tips, please?
For sure. I think make sure before you get on the ice, you're warmed up, you're ready. I always tell my skaters, like, ice time is expensive. You have to use it. It's around here, it's really about $15 an hour. So if you spend even just 15 minutes of that because you weren't warmed up, using it to warm up on the ice when you could have used that 15 minutes off the ice to warm up in advance, that's a substantial amount of time you're losing. So make sure you warm up before you're on the ice. Make sure you have ample hydration, because if you're working hard and you get fatigued to the point where you can't finish your ice time, well, had you brought a water bottle or some Gatorade, you probably could have got a lot more out of that session.
Yeah.
And then just have a plan when you arrive. Know what you're going to work on that day and follow through with it.
So put your plan in action. It's really essential. Well, after all this, you have so much experience yourself. You wrote 2 books, and the third one is coming live very soon. And what you want to change in our community?
That's a hard one. I think overall, just I want to send the message that hard work pays off. Like, you need to be willing to work, and your willingness to work, you also need to be willing to fail, because it's part of the process. And
Yes.
you really need to be willing to invest in yourself to make your dreams happen. And I think that's my overall big message.
The action to take is to put action together.
Well said. Yes.
Right. So what is your other service? Do you have other service to provide through online? Or I know you have got a shop is it a shop, Pure Go Ice Work?
Yes, so my husband and I recently opened up a skating business. A former coach that I had worked with for quite a bit of time had a pro shop that she ran out of her home about 70 miles away. And she just retired. And with that came the realization that my skaters are going to have to drive 2 hours each way to get sharpening, 2 hours each way to get a fitting, 2 hours each way to pick up their skates when they come. And that's going to add up very fast for them. And I thought, long term, that's really going to hurt our skating community. So my former coach, her name was Amy, she trained me how to fit skates, and her husband trained my husband how to sharpen skates. So together, Jeffrey and I are working to get skaters locally and in the surrounding area in skates, keep their skates maintained and sharpened. And we're trying really hard to make skating easier for skaters in this area to get to.
Do you think your area have enough young skater love figure skating?
I think my rinks do. And I think it really depends on each rink, on the management and who's running it, and how they feel about figure skating, and how they promote figure skating, and how they make the experience for the young skaters. And I think the rinks in this area are doing a pretty good job of making it something that is drawing young skaters in, it's a really refreshing thing to see.
Well, for me, my hope is to have more and more young people like figure skating and like dancing, love the artistry world. And for you, what do you hope for our community?
I really like it when young kids get involved, and maybe for them it's not figure skating, but for them to find their passion, and for that passion at some point in their life to maybe be an escape from something that's difficult going on or whatnot. And I think finding a healthy passion and athletic passion that keeps their bodies moving is just a really good direction for young children to take.
So you keep saying passion. Why you think passion is so important?
I mean, for me, it's where my joy comes from. It's where my happiness comes from. And even my drive. Like, I know I'm an intensely motivated person, but I don't know if I would be as motivated if I wasn't excited about what I was aiming to accomplish. So I think my passion has really driven my motivation.
When you have the passion, you have the motivation, and you have the action. This is the formula of getting your dream come true.
Exactly. Got it.
Right. Thank you so much, Ali. I encourage all of you to stay in touch with Ali. Her handle is in her speaker bio. So she have got Facebook and Instagram, and she also have a shop. You have any questions about sharpening skate or to get her book and to get to know more about figure skating in your area and to get your dream come true, I'm sure Ali will be happy to answer your questions, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then for young skaters, I have my books right here, who get into the
Yes.
books or clubs who are interested on my Facebook page, actually. I
Yes.
just put a link for questions for anyone who wants to start a book club with this. So I know adults in rinks are all so busy already. So if anyone is like, I read this book, it's great, I want to get my skaters involved, there's a free book club link available on my Facebook page. Click it, start a book club. It'll be fun. I'd love to hear about it.
Thank you, everyone.
You are welcome. Thank you.
What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers.